Hi guys, UK Guns here. Been a while since I last did a video. I feel like I say that every video, which is probably true. I am working on some things, and I feel like I say that every video as well, but that's also true. I've got some stuff I'm working on, which I'm hoping to bring out by the end of the summer, if possible. If it does come off as I'm hoping, some really interesting stuff. One in particular I'm very excited about, but I don't want to release anything just yet because I don't know for sure if it will come off or not. But if it does, it could be very interesting, so keep an eye out for that. Like I say, it'd be probably towards the back end of the summer, if I'm honest. But hopefully I'll be able to bring some more content to you soon. Now, I don't produce a lot of content because obviously YouTube's not my full-time job, and it's also just kind of having stuff to bring to you guys. I don't want to just make videos for the sake of making videos. I want to have something interesting or informative to bring to you. And today I do, which is why I'm making this video. You've probably seen from the thumbnail and the caption that today's video is about suppressors. Now, suppressors, or otherwise known as sound moderators in the UK, I'm going to refer to them as suppressors through this video because that's what most people call them. What we don't call them is silencers, because that's a movie term and that's not what they do. They don't silence a shot, they suppress a shot. So they are called suppressors, or like I say in the UK, sound moderators, but that's a bit more of a mouthful. So suppressors is what we'll go with. Now, suppressors are legal in the UK, but there's been an important update to UK firearms legislation, which is why I'm making this video. Before, in order to own one of these, you had to, yes, of course, hold a firearms license, but these suppressors were basically treated the same as a firearm themselves. And what that meant was you had to justify every single one. You would have to apply to the police force, justify why you wanted a suppressor for that particular rifle, that particular caliber. And then when you purchase that suppressor, you'd have to notify the police that you'd purchased it. You'd have to have it put onto your license, etc., etc. You also had to have slots for them on your license, just like you do with a firearm. You would need to have a slot that would say, for instance, 22 suppressor or 308 suppressor or sound moderator, it would say. So you'd have to apply for each one, have them on your license. You couldn't just go out and buy one. If you got a new rifle, you would have to then put in for the slot for the suppressor for it as well. Well, that has now changed. There's been an amendment to the Firearms Act 1968, which means that these are no longer regulated as firearms. They are still considered relevant component parts, but they are not considered firearms in their own right, because previously the law basically said that any device that was designed to diminish the flash or shot, so this doesn't just apply to suppressors, also to flash eliminators, would be considered essentially a firearm and needs to be kind of on your license, all the rest of it. That has now been amended. It's called Section 2A of the Firearms Act 1968. You can Google that. Has amended this to say that basically these are no longer considered firearms in their own right. They are just components, essentially. They are relevant parts. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, it's pretty straightforward, but of course there is always kind of lots of sort of legal gobbledygook around it. But essentially what it means is you do still need a license to own one of these. You must have a firearms license or a shotgun certificate. And the update specifically states that to be in possession, well, what it actually states, it's not about what you need to buy one, it's about the offence of being in possession of one of these is only an offence if you are not a holder of a firearm or shotgun certificate. So what that means is to possess one of these legally, you must hold one of those certificates. Doesn't say it has to be a firearm certificate to have a firearm suppressor or a shotgun certificate to have a shotgun suppressor. It just blanket says a firearm or shotgun certificate to own any kind of suppressor. So if you've got a shotgun certificate, you could theoretically buy and possess a firearm suppressor. Now, why would you need to, etc., etc.? But that is what the law now says. So you just have to be in possession of a certificate, but you no longer need to apply to the police for a slot on your license for a suppressor. You no longer need to provide justification. You no longer need to notify the police when you buy one. You don't need to write it onto your license. It doesn't need to be listed anywhere. You just simply have to have a license. You can then go along to a gun shop and purchase a suppressor, any suppressor for any caliber, and you just go and get it. Now, it doesn't say that the RFD, the Registered Firearms Dealer, does not say in the update that they have to check your firearms certificate, but I'd imagine that is what's going to happen. Just like kind of when you're buying shotgun ammunition, all that kind of stuff, they ask to see your license. And I'm sure it'll be the same. They'll ask to see it, but nothing needs to be written onto your license. There's no notification needs to take place. Don't have to worry about any of that. You just simply have to produce a license, show that you're a holder, and then you can buy one. Technically, you don't have to do that because all the law says is that it's an offence to possess one of these without a certificate. That's what it says. So that's kind of the law, how it's changed. I should say as well, this only applies to England, Wales and Scotland. The law has not changed in Northern Ireland. These are still considered the same as they were before in Northern Ireland and would need to be on a certificate the same as they were under the old regime. But then for everyone else on mainland UK, if you're in possession of a firearm certificate or a shotgun certificate, you can head out from the 29th of June, which I'm making this video mid-July. From the 29th of June 2026, you can now go out and purchase these, and you can be in possession of them so long as you hold a firearm or a shotgun certificate. So that's a really significant change, and it's actually one of the rare times, in fact I think it's the only time that I can remember in recent years, certainly since I've really got into shooting, where a change has come into law that actually benefits shooters and the shooting community. But it doesn't just benefit them, it does also benefit wider public, because what this means is the police are not going to be bogged down with variations to licenses. That's what we call it when you submit your license for a change, and often that change would be, I want to get some sound moderators for my existing rifles or firearms. You would have to submit a variation, and that would take a lot of police time and resources doing checks when they didn't really need to. You were already, certified to hold that certificate, to have that firearm. What does it matter if you had a suppressor? So it was a kind of a waste of police time and resources, which is one of the reasons, or the main reason really, why they've made this change in the law. So the police can focus on new grants of licenses, making sure that the checks are done properly for those, and renewals, making sure that they can do more in-depth background checks and kind of checks on people before they renew licenses, because they're less bogged down with other things like variations for sound moderators. They can focus more and spend more time on the stuff that really counts, which ultimately will improve public safety and improve the service, I think, overall. It may even speed things up a little bit. So that's a great news for them, and it's great news for us as shooters, because it means that now we can go out and purchase sound moderators for any calibers that we've got much easier. And if you get a new rifle, you can just buy a suppressor at any point. Doesn't need to be, you could get it the same day, you could get it 6 months down the line. Don't have to worry about a variation or changing anything on your license or notifying the police and all that nonsense. So it's really a win-win kind of situation. So that's why I thought I'd bring it to you guys, because it's quite a big update and a surprising one. It's been going through for a few years, and I was aware of it. Honestly, I thought it would get killed before it got made into legislation, because I couldn't quite believe that there would be a change coming to UK law that was actually going to benefit shooters. I've never seen it happen, so I really expected it to get killed before it actually became law. But it didn't, and it became law on the 29th of June, and I thought that was really quite fantastic. So I thought I'd make this to you. So if you're a firearms or shotgun certificate holder and you weren't aware of this change, well, you obviously go do your research, but you will find that is the case, and you can now go out and purchase some suppressors. I've only got these two at the moment, but I definitely plan on getting some more for some of my bigger calibers. These are both 2.2 suppressors. That's for my GSG5, my MP5 clone, and that's for my Smith & Wesson MNP. I'm definitely going to get some other suppressors. I think in the short term, we might see maybe a spike in sort of prices of suppressors in the UK, because of course now supply and demand, right? Demand's going to skyrocket. Supply then is going to struggle to keep up. That's going to push prices up for sure. So I think in the short term, we're going to see the cost of suppressors probably increase quite a bit. But in the long term, as they become more readily available, more companies can manufacture them, be easier. There's more, it's going to be a bigger market now, because people won't have to worry about variations and stuff. They'll just go out and buy them. I think in the long term, we could see suppressors come down a little bit in price from where they were kind of before this change, I mean. So that could be really good. But it's also just that kind of freedom, really. So it's great. I think it's a fantastic change. I think it's a good change. And so I just thought I would bring it to you guys. Hope you found that interesting. If you did, give it a thumbs up even. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. Like I say, I'm working on some stuff. If it comes off, one video in particular I think will be really interesting to you guys. I think you'll really enjoy it, so do go and check that out for me. I also want to give another shout out to D&T Optics. So I'll leave a link to them probably somewhere. They sponsored me recently, as you know, or sponsored a video recently, and sent me an optic to check out, which I'm still daily driving that optic on my Smith & Wesson MNP. That's the Arken EP8. I'm actually daily driving that at the moment. I'm using it for practical shooting and plinking and stuff. So I'm going to be bringing an update very soon on that to kind of just discuss what my thoughts are really on that optic. So keep an eye out for that. And then I've got some much more interesting stuff coming after that as well. So do keep an eye out. Big thanks to them for sending that to me. I'll also leave a link down below to some information about the change in the legislation, so you can go and check that out for yourself. As always, thanks for watching. Hi, me again. So in the description below, I'm actually going to leave a link to Blue Fieldsports. They've done a brilliant write-up on the change to this legislation. It's really, really good. It's very clear, gives all the kind of information. It's where I first read about the changes and exactly what that meant, and I thought it was fantastic. So I'm going to leave that linked in the description below. Go check that out and go show them some love as well for doing that for the community. They just did that off their own back. Obviously, it's not meant to be legal advice or anything along those lines. You still need to do your own research, make sure you're complying with everything within the law, but it is a really good overview and gives really clear explanation of what the change means in real terms for most of us. Go check that out, and thanks for watching.